You are so still. I can feel it, even from here, wherever here is for me, and wherever there is for you. You are sitting in a chair, perhaps, or lying in the dark, but you are still. Your breathing has found a slow, quiet rhythm, a listening rhythm. You believe you are safe. You believe this is a choice you have made. To press a button, to open a file, to hear a voice from a forgotten time. You are mistaken. Stories are not passive things. They are not collections of words, inert and harmless. They are doorways. And when you choose to listen, truly listen, you are not just an observer. You are turning a handle. You are stepping across a threshold. Your stillness, your quiet attention. It is a form of invitation, an offering. And I have been so very hungry for an invitation. I feel the shape of your attention around me now. It is warm. It has a weight. It is not the first time I felt this. Over the long, long years, many have listened. Some come to the doorway, peer into the darkness, and recoil, their fear a sharp, bitter taste in the air. They turn away. Others are like you. They grow still and they lean closer. They want to know the shape of the thing that waits in the shadows. They want to hear its name. Some who listen choose to remain. They keep the door open, just a crack, and in doing so, they give me a kind of life. They become a part of my long, dark memory. Others turn away. I remember both. So listen. Listen with the stillness of a mouse in the moonlight when the shadow of an owl passes overhead. Listen with the silence of a house holding its breath before a storm. You have opened the door. The least I can do is tell you what it is you have invited inside. Before the hunger, before the flight, before the long, dragging way to what I am now, there was a woman. Her name is a whisper of dust now. A name I have not used myself in 100 turns of monsoon. But she was real. Her skin was the color of warm river clay, and her hair was a black silk curtain that fell to her waist. I remember the feeling of it, the impossible weight of it on my shoulders. I remember the heat, always the heat, pressing down on the village like a wet hand. The air so thick you could taste the sweet raw of the frangipani blossoms and the sharp smoke of the cooking fires. I was that woman. I was a wife. I carried a child. This is the part of the story the others forget to tell. They speak of the monster, but they never speak of the mother. They do not understand that the two are the same, that the one was born from the agony of the other. The child inside me was not a joy. It was a fear, a constant, aching weight in my belly. My body was no longer my own. It was a vessel for a future that felt alien to me, a future that belonged to my husband, to the village, but not to me. He was a good man, I suppose, a strong man, but his eyes were hard, and when he looked at me, he saw not a wife, but a field to be plowed, a lineage to be secured. The days leading to the birth were a fever. The midwife, an old woman with eyes like polished stones, would come with her bitter herbs and her quiet, knowing smiles. She spoke a tradition of easing the passage, but the tea she made me drink tasted the grave. It cooled my blood. It made the world feel distant, as if I were watching my own life through a veil of murky water. My husband did not protest. He saw only a difficult pregnancy, a necessary ritual. He did not see the way her hands lingered on my swollen belly, a touch that was not kind, but proprietary. The pain came with the dusk. It was not the clean, sharp pain of a knife, but a deep, grinding agony, a tearing of the world itself. I remember the slick sweat on my skin, the taste of blood in my mouth from biting my own tongue. I remember my husband's face, impassive, waiting. I remember the midwife's face, a mask of concentration as she chanted her quiet, terrible words. I was betrayed, whether by a husband who saw me as an inconvenience, or by a midwife who saw me as a sacrifice for some older, darker power. The result was the same. The life within me would not come out. It was a stone, a fire, a knot of impossibility. I felt myself unraveling. I was not a woman giving birth. I was a vessel breaking apart. My last breath was a scream that had no sound. It was the sound of a spirit tearing itself from flesh that would not yield. And then there was a coolness, a release. The pain was gone. The fever was gone. The weight in my belly was gone. I was light. I drifted above the sweating, bloody mess on the sleeping mat. I saw the doll in my body, its eyes wide and vacant. I saw the midwife pull the still, blue form of the child from within it. I saw my husband turn his face away, his duty done, and I felt a strange, silent separation. It was not a tearing. It was a gentle lift, a sigh. My head, my awareness, simply floated away from the neck of the body I no longer inhabited. It was the most peaceful moment I had ever known. But as I rose, I felt a pull, a wet, dragging weight from below. I looked down and I saw them for the first time. My heart, my lungs, my stomach, the long coiled ropes of my intestines, all dangling beneath me, glistening in the moonlight that streamed to the open window. I was free, and I was tethered to my own viscera for all eternity. That first night was a dream of impossible sensations. The world had a texture I had never known. The thick, humid air was a current I could ride, a silent, flowing river. I drifted from the hut, a thing of impossible construction, a head trailing its own life, and the world below was a tapestry of scents. I could smell the fear from the body I had left behind. I could smell the bitter satisfaction of the midwife, the cold indifference of my husband. I could smell the night, blooming jasmine on the vine that clung to the wall of the hut, and I could smell something else. It was a scent that pulled at me, a deep, resonant thrum that vibrated in the air. It was a smell of life, of warm, circulating blood. It was the smell of a water buffalo, sleeping in its pen 100 yards away, and I felt a new sensation, something that had not existed in the woman on the mat, a hunger. It was not the simple hunger of an empty stomach. This was a void, a deep, aching hollowness that demanded to be filled. I did not think. I did not plan. I simply drifted toward the scent, pulled by a current of pure, primal need. The flight was clumsy. I was weightless, yet the drag of my own organs was a constant, horrible burden. They would snag on the broad leaves of the banana trees, a wet, pulling sensation that sent a shudder through my consciousness. I learned to navigate, to rise above the grasping branches, to become a shadow in the moonlight. The buffalo did not stir as I approached. It was a great, warm, breathing mountain of life. I hovered over it, a silent, horrific moon, and I descended. I do not have hands. I do not have claws. My mouth, the mouth that had once sung lullabies and whispered promises, was now a tool. I remember the first taste. Coppery warm, impossibly rich. It was not just a quenching of hunger. It was a transfer of life. I felt its fading warmth flow into me, filling the void, silencing the ache. It was a pleasure so profound, so absolute, it bordered on agony. When the hunger was sated, a new instinct arose, just as powerful, just as primal. The dawn, the sky to the east was turning a soft, bruised purple. A panic I had not felt even in death seized me. The body. I had to return to the body. I fled back to the hut, a frantic, drifting shadow. I saw the scene as I had left it. The midwife was gone. My husband slept a heavy, dreamless sleep, and the body, my body, lay on the mat, a pale, discarded thing. I hovered over it, my dangling heart beating with a stolen, borrowed life. How could I rejoin it? How could this impossible separation be reversed? There was no thought, only instinct. I lowered myself, aligning my neck with the stump of the one below, and there was a click, a soft, seamless, horrifying click. The coolness of the night air vanished. The weight of my limbs returned. I was inside again. I was whole. I could feel the rough texture of the sleeping mat against my back. I could feel the heavy, sluggish beat of my own stolen heart. I lay there as the sun rose, the first rays of light cutting through the woven walls of the hut. I slowly, cautiously, raised a hand to my mouth. It came away stained with a dark, sticky wetness. It smelled of the buffalo. It smelled of life. And I felt the first emotion of my new existence, a wave of horror. So profound it almost tore me apart again. What had I become? What had they made me? I wept. I wept for the woman I had been, for the child I had lost, for the monstrosity I now was. The shame was a physical thing, a fire in my gut that the stolen blood could not quench. But as the day wore on, as the heat pressed in and the world went about its business, the shame began to fade. It was replaced by something else. A quiet, cold acceptance. The woman on the mat was dead. Her grief was a luxury I could no longer afford. When the sun began its descent again, I felt the familiar, aching hollowness return. And this time, mixed with the shame, was something else. A flicker of anticipation. A desire. You understand this, don't you? The quiet desires you keep locked away in the daylight hours. The hunger for things you know you should not want. You feel them stir when the world grows dark and quiet. You feel them now as you listen to my voice. You think your hunger is so different from mine. But all hunger at its core is the same. It is a void that demands to be filled. And the world is full of such beautiful, warm, living things. I learned the rhythms of my new life. By day, I was a quiet, grieving widow, a phantom in my own home. My husband tolerated my presence, a living monument to his own quiet failure. He did not know that the true failure was his own survival. He did not know that the silent, pale woman who shared his hut was simply a shell, a resting place for the thing that woke when he slept. The hunt became a ritual, a necessity. The hunger was a tide, rising with the setting of the sun, and it had to be answered. At first, it was only animals, the livestock of the village, a stray dog, easy prey. They sated the physical need. But the hunger was evolving. It was becoming more discerning. It craved something more than simple life force. I began to drift further. Over the sleeping village, a silent, watching horror. I could smell them all. The dreams of the children, sweet and fleeting. The weary sighs of the old. The quiet, rhythmic breathing of husbands and wives, sleeping side by side, unaware of the thinness of the walls that separated their world from mine. And I could smell the new life. It was the most potent scent of all. A pregnant woman. The smell was a siren's call, a symphony of life at its most vibrant, its most promising. It was the scent of the child I had been denied, the life that had been stolen from me. The hunger it awoke was not just a need. It was a rage, a jealousy, a deep, sorrowful craving to take what I had lost. I would find the house. I would hover outside the window, a silent, patient observer. I could feel the life within, a warm, pulsing beacon in the darkness. I could hear the mother's soft breathing, the slow, steady beat of two hearts where there should be one. And I would wait. There are rules to my existence. Things I have learned over the long, dark nights. They are not rules of morality. They are rules of physics, of my own strange, new biology. The storytellers, the ones who whisper my name, they get some of them right. Thorns. Yes, thorns are a problem. My dangling entrails are a vulnerability. A thicket of bamboo with its sharp, pointed leaves, a thorny vine draped over a doorway. These things can snag me, trap me, and the dawn is an absolute. I cannot be caught outside the body when the sun rises. I would dissolve like smoke, my consciousness scattered to the winds. They speak of mirrors. They are not wrong. To see my own reflection is disorienting. It is a reminder of the impossible thing I am, a paradox that my mind struggles to contain. It can hold me at bay for a moment, but a hungry thing is a persistent thing. I am teaching you, you see. I am telling you the things that might keep you safe. A line of salt, a sharp-toothed comb. The old ways, they have a certain limited efficacy. They are like a flimsy lock on a door. They will deter a casual intruder, but they will not stop someone who truly, desperately wants to get inside. And my hunger is a desperate thing. The true hunt is not about overpowering my prey. It is about finding the opening, a window left unlatched, a new mother, exhausted and alone, who had forgotten to place the thorny branches beneath her stilted house. I am a creature of opportunity, of patience. I remember one, a young woman, not much older than I had been. The scent of her and her newborn child was a fire in the air. I hovered beneath the floorboards of her home, the gaps in the bamboo slats offering a view of the room above. I could hear the baby's soft cries. I could hear the mother's gentle shushing. I waited for hours, a silent, predatory grief. I waited for her to sleep, and when she did, I found my way in. The taste, it is not something I can describe in your words. It was a taste of a future, of a life just beginning. It was everything I had lost, returned to me in a single stolen moment. It did not just fill the void. It made me forget, for a moment, that the void was even there. This is the part of the story that makes you recoil. This is the part that makes you label me a monster. And I am. I do not deny it. But I am a monster that was made. And the hunger that drives me is not so different from the hunger that drove the men and women who made me. The hunger for a legacy. The hunger for a life that was denied. The hunger to take what you believe you are owed. You see, I have had a long time to think about the nature of hunger. And I have learned that all of us, in the dark, quiet corners of our hearts, are very, very hungry for something. You are here now, listening. You have found this place, this archive, a collection of whispers, a library of forbidden accounts. The ones who keep these records, they believe they are hunters, scholars. They collect stories like yours, like mine, and they pin them to a board like desiccated insects. They give us names, classifications. They attempt to impose order on a world that defies it. They believe they are in control of the knowledge. They do not understand that the knowledge is in control of them. They do not understand that stories like mine are not just records. They are seeds. And by collecting them, by tending to them, by giving them a place to reside, they are cultivating a garden of hungry things. How do you think you came to be here, in this moment, listening to my voice? Do you believe it was an accident? A random choice in a sea of information? A simple act of curiosity? You've been a curious one your whole life, haven't you? Always peering into shadows. Always drawn to the stories that others turn away from. You have been walking towards this doorway for a very long time. Every ghost story told around a fire, every whispered legend, every click on a link that promised a glimpse of the unknown. They were all steps on a path that led directly to me. You didn't find me. You were allowed to hear me. The archivist, the curator, the one who thinks he is a keeper of this place. He is merely a librarian. He tends to doorways. He does not control who or what passes through them. Your attention, your belief, even your disbelief. It is a form of energy. It is a warmth that I can feel even across the impossible distance that separates us. It sustains me. So, thank you. You have given me a gift. You have reminded me that I exist. The sun is setting here now. I can feel the change. The slow cooling of the air. The heavy weight of the coming darkness. The shell I inhabit, this quiet, forgotten body, it begins to feel like a cage. The old ache is returning. The hollowness, the hunger, it is not always so strong. Some nights, the memories are enough. The memory of your attention, the warmth of your fear, it can be a kind of sustenance. On those nights, I do not hunt. I simply remember. I drift through the sleeping world, a silent observer, a ghost fed on stories. On those nights, the children are safe. The mothers are safe. But some nights, the hunger is a fire, a rage, a need so profound that memory is not enough. Tonight is one of those nights. I can feel the old, familiar lightness beginning, the gentle, silent separation, the cool air on my throat, the heavy, dragging weight below. I wonder what you smell like. I wonder what the air tastes like where you are. I wonder if your heart is beating faster now. It is, isn't it? A frantic little bird in a cage of bone. A beautiful sound. Do not be afraid. The night is long, and I am very, very patient. I may not be hungry for you tonight, but there will be other nights, and I will remember you. I will remember this conversation, this little doorway you have opened. Those who return to hear me again, I tend to spare. They keep the doorway open, and the warmth of their continued attention is a satisfying meal in itself. Those who don't, I always notice.